Okay, so I want you to try something for me right now. Just look around the room you're in.
Oh.
No, seriously, look at your phone or the wall, maybe a coffee cup if you've got one. Now, here's the question. Do you actually trust what you're seeing?
That is a very dangerous question to kick things off with.
It is, right.
Yeah.
Because we all just assume that our eyes are, I don't know, these perfect little cameras just streaming reality straight to our brains. I see the cup, so the cup is there. End of story.
But it's not the end of the story. Not even close.
The more I dug into the research for this, the more I'm convinced that's just completely wrong. We're not really seeing with our eyes at all.
No, you're not. You're seeing with your brain. And that one distinction, that's probably the most important thing to get your head around in all of psychology. It's the difference between sensation and perception.
Okay, so sensation is the hardware.
Sensation is just the raw data. It's physics. It's light waves hitting your retina, sound waves vibrating your eardrum. It is messy, it's chaotic, and honestly, it's totally meaningless by itself.
And perception is the software that makes sense of it.
Exactly. Perception is the clever editor in your head. It takes that jumble of signals and turns it into something you can actually use, like a face or a song or that coffee cup.
So reality is just a really good post-production edit.
It is a construction. And the architect, your brain, is making creative choices constantly. It fills in gaps, makes educated guesses based on experience, and sometimes it just flat out ignores things that are right in front of you.
That sounds less like biology and more like, I don't know, the Matrix.
It's not that far off. We love to think we're just passive observers, recording what's out there, but we're not. We are actively building the reality we experience.
This sounds like that architect idea you mentioned from the Gestalt psychology notes. There was that analogy, something about a heap of bricks versus a building.
Yes, that's the core of Gestalt psychology. The whole idea is that the whole is different from or more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
If you just have a pile of bricks, what is it?
It's a mess. Debris.
It's a heap. But you arrange those exact same bricks into a structure, and suddenly your brain perceives a house. The individual bricks, the sensation, they haven't changed at all. But your perception has done a complete 180.
Right, because when I look at a person, I don't see left eye, right eye, nose, mouth. I just immediately see a face.
You see the whole
Yeah.
instantly. And to do that, our brains follow these very predictable rules. One of the biggest is called figure and ground.
Is that the old optical illusion with the vase and the faces?
The classic Rubin vase. You look at it, you see a white vase, then you blink, and all of a sudden you see two black profiles of faces staring at each other. The key thing, though, is that you can't see both at the same time.
I've tried. It's impossible. It just flips.
It flips because your brain has to make a choice. It has to decide what is the figure, the thing I'm focusing on, and what is the ground, everything else the background. It just refuses to process everything equally.
You've just described my entire university career. I'm in a lecture, trying so hard to make the professor the figure, but the person in front of me is watching cat videos on their laptop.
And suddenly the cat video becomes the figure.
And the professor just becomes background noise. And then I fail the exam.
Well, there you go. Gestalt psychology in action. But it goes deeper. Our brains use these laws of grouping to organize the world automatically.
Right, and I realize I use these all the time without even thinking, like proximity.
Which is really just a fancy way of saying we group things together that are physically close to each other.
Yeah, if I walk into a cafe and see 3 people at one table and one person sitting alone 2 tables away, my brain instantly writes a story. Those 3 are friends, and that person is a loner.
Even though you have no idea.
Mm.
They could be 3 complete strangers.
Mm-hmm.
But your brain wants order, so it draws a little circle around them based on how close they are.
And then there's similarity.
We group things that look alike.
Right.
Makes sense.
This is literally how I organize my phone. All the blue apps go on one screen, red ones on another. Or laundry, darks with darks, lights with lights.
It's a mental shortcut, a survival mechanism, really.
Yeah.
You scan a crowd, you group people by their jersey color to figure out who's on which team. You don't analyze every single person.
What about when the pattern is broken? Or like when parts are missing?
Closure is basically your brain's hatred of incomplete things. If you see a drawing of a circle with a tiny little gap in it, you don't perceive a curved line. You just see a circle. Your brain fills in the gap.
It's like a built-in autocorrect. There's that little puzzle in the notes, the I_ANT.
And you immediately read, I want chocolate ice cream.
Instantly. Even though half the letters were gone.
Your brain just saw the pattern and,
Yeah.
Well, it sort of hallucinated the missing pieces to make it meaningful. It's helpful, but it means you're often seeing things that literally are not there.
Okay, one more continuity. That's about following a path, right?
Yeah, we prefer smooth, continuous paths over sharp, jagged turns. If you're driving and the white lines on the road disappear for 10 feet because they're faded, you don't slam on the brakes.
No, you just assume the road keeps going. You follow the curve.
Your brain just perceives the line continuing right through that empty space.
So, okay, this all explains the what of reality. Our brain groups things, fills in the blanks, but it doesn't really explain the where.
The spatial problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My eye is just a flat screen, a retina. So how do I know this coffee cup is 3 feet away and not just a tiny little cup floating an inch from my face? How do we not all just walk into walls constantly?
Depth perception is maybe one of the most incredible things the brain does. You're taking a flat 2D image, what we call the proximal stimulus, and you're computing a full 3D world from it, the distal stimulus.
Is that something we have to learn? Or are we just born knowing don't fall off things?
That was a huge debate. So in 1960, two researchers, Gibson and Walk, they created something called the visual cliff.
That sounds dramatic.
It looked terrifying, but it was totally safe. They built this big glass table. On one half, there was a checkerboard pattern right under the glass. On the other half, the checkerboard was on the floor a few feet down, so it looked like a sheer drop.
But there was solid glass over the cliff.
Right, and they put infants, babies from 6 to 14 months old, on the shallow side. Then they had their mothers stand on the other side of the cliff and call to them.
And the babies were like, nope, not happening, Mom.
Pretty much, almost all of them refused to crawl over the deep side. They'd cry, they'd pat the glass, but they would not cross. It was a huge piece of evidence that our ability to perceive depth, and maybe even a fear of heights, is largely innate.
Huh. But I remember there was a bit of a wrinkle with another researcher, right? Adolf.
Right. Adolf found that while the perception of depth might be there, the coordination to deal with it has to be learned. A brand new crawler might actually go right over the edge because they haven't figured out how to connect what they see with what their body is doing.
So the hardware is installed at birth, but they're still downloading the drivers.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Now for us adults, we have a ton of cheats for this. I was shocked that I don't really need 2 eyes for most depth perception.
You don't. If you close one eye right now, the world doesn't suddenly flatten. You still know the wall is farther away than your computer. And that's all thanks to monocular cues.
These felt like tricks you learn in a high school art class.
Because that's exactly what they are. Painters use them to create the illusion of depth. You have linear perspective parallel lines, like railroad tracks. They look like they converge in the distance.
And your brain just reads that as distance?
Instantly. Or interposition. If a car is blocking your view of a building, you know the car is closer. You don't think the building has a car-shaped hole in it.
Right. Then there's relative size. If I see a person way down the street and they look like an ant, I assume they're far away, not that I've discovered a tiny human.
Exactly. And things like texture gradient. Stuff that's close has detail, you could see the texture. Stuff that's far away is blurry and smooth.
Okay, so if I can do all that with one eye, why do I have 2? What's the point of the upgrade?
Precision. Fine-tuned close-up work. Try to thread a needle with one eye closed. Or catch a baseball.
It's way harder.
It is. For that, you need binocular cues. The main one is called retinal disparity.
Which is just the fact that my eyes are in slightly different spots on my head.
Exactly. Each eye sees a slightly different image. Hold your finger up in front of your face and look at it, first with your left eye, then your right.
Yeah, jumps back and forth.
That little jump, that's the disparity.
Yeah.
And your brain is a supercomputer that triangulates those two images to calculate the exact distance. It's like having built-in GPS for everything right in front of you.
That's amazing. Speaking of things that trick our eyes, though, I have a bone to pick with you about movies.
Ah, yes. The great illusion of motion.
You've basically ruined cinema for me. Movies don't actually move.
Nope, not at all. All motion, in movies, on your TV, on your phone, it's the complete lie. It's something called the 5 phenomenon.
It's just a bunch of blinking lights.
It's a series of completely static images, flashed one after another very quickly. You have image A here, then image B shows the object slightly to the right. Flash them fast enough, and your brain's obsession with continuity kicks in.
It just fills in the gap.
It literally hallucinates the motion between the 2 points. It assumes the object must have moved to get from A to B, so it creates the perception of smooth movement. But nothing ever moved.
That is just wild. We're just constantly making up stories to make the world make sense.
We're prediction machines. Which brings us to the two main ways we do all this processing: bottom up and top down.
Okay, I always get these mixed up. Bottom up is the slow, careful one.
Think of bottom up as building a Lego set with no instructions. You start with the raw pieces, the sensation. You look at the individual lines, the colors, the angles, and you slowly piece it together until you get it. Okay, 2 wheels, handlebars, it's a bicycle. It's accurate, but it takes work. Top down is when you use your expectations. You use past experiences and mental models to just guess what you're seeing, often before you've even analyzed all the details.
This has to be why I can read a text message that's riddled with typos and not even notice.
Precisely. If I text you CUTMRW, your brain just expects the word tomorrow. You completely override the actual sensory data, the letters on the screen, with what you expect to see.
It seems way more efficient.
It is, but it's also riskier. It's why you walk into a glass door you thought was open, or why you mishear song lyrics as something completely different.
And advertisers must love this, right? They want to hack our top-down processing.
Oh, they try. Which brings us to maybe the greatest myth in the history of advertising: the subliminal popcorn study.
Oh man, I grew up hearing about this one. In the 50s, some guy flashed, eat popcorn and drink Coca-Cola on a movie screen for, like, a fraction of a second.
1/3000th of a second. Way too fast to consciously see.
And popcorn and Coke sales just shot through the roof.
That was the story. A guy named James Vickery claimed sales jumped by over 50% for popcorn, and it caused a huge moral panic about brainwashing.
Right, the whole mind control thing.
The only problem is, it was a total lie.
Wait, he made it up?
He completely fabricated, admitted it in 1962. No other researcher has ever been able to replicate it. It just doesn't work. You can't flash, buy our product, and turn people into robots.
So if I start whispering, subscribe to our deep dive under my breath right now, it's not going to work.
I mean, you can try, but probably not. However,
There's always a however.
while that kind of mind control is fake, something called priming is very, very real.
And how is that different?
Priming isn't about forcing an action. It's about making a concept more accessible in your brain.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I briefly show you the word doctor, and then I ask you to complete the word NUR_E.
I'm going to say nurse way faster than if you'd shown me the word bread.
Exactly. I didn't force you to say nurse, but I warmed up that part of your brain.
Yeah.
I greased the wheels for related concepts.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it happens with our hearing, too. It's called the cocktail party effect. You could be in a loud, crowded room, tuning out dozens of conversations. It's all just background noise.
Until someone across the room says your name.
And your head just snaps around, which proves that your brain was subconsciously monitoring all of that noise the entire time, just listening for something relevant.
So we're not being brainwashed, but we are being nudged.
Constantly, by things in our environment we don't even consciously notice.
That's still a little unsettling. But I do want to talk about when this whole system just breaks down. The case of JR in the notes was frankly terrifying.
Yeah, visual agnosia. It's one of the most tragic and fascinating conditions in all of neuroscience.
So this patient, JR, he had brain damage, but his eyes were perfect. He wasn't blind.
His sensation was totally intact. His retinas worked fine. But the damage was to his temporal and occipital lobes, the brain's processing centers. The result was that he couldn't recognize objects. You could hold up a fork, and to him it was just an object. No name, no function.
But the part that really got me was the drawing.
It's haunting, isn't it? You could show him a picture of a key, and he could copy it. He could draw it line for line, absolutely perfectly.
So he could see the shape?
You could see the lines and the curves. But if you came back a minute later and asked him, what is that thing you just drew? He would have no idea.
My God, that breaks my brain. He can copy it, but he can't name it.
It's the ultimate proof that seeing isn't one thing. There's a part of your brain for detecting lines, and a totally different part for attaching meaning, for saying that's a key. For JR, that bridge between shape and meaning was just gone.
And this can happen just with faces, too. Prosopagnosia.
Face blindness, yeah. It's a very specific type of agnosia. Someone with it can see a person's eyes, their nose, their mouth, but their brain can't assemble those parts into a recognizable whole, into a face.
So they could look at their own child or their partner and just see a stranger.
Or look in the mirror and see a stranger. There are cases of people apologizing for bumping into someone in a doorway, only to realize they just bumped into their own reflection.
It really hammers home that initial point. Our reality is a construction project, And it's a pretty fragile one.
It really is. We are completely reliant on these internal rules, Gestalt principles, depth cues, our own expectations, just to make the world make sense from moment to moment.
So to bring it all back, we started by asking if you can trust your eyes. And the answer seems to be, well, no, not really. But maybe you can trust the process.
You can respect the process. It's doing an unbelievable amount of work. It filters out the noise, it stops you from falling downstairs, and it lets you read your friend's terrible typing. It builds a world that is useful, even if it isn't 100% accurate.
We're living in the director's cut, not the raw footage.
Precisely.
But here's the thought I want to leave everyone with. We talked about priming, the cocktail party effect, how your brain processes stuff in the background you're not even aware of.
Right.
Which means, right now, your brain is noticing things you think you're ignoring. The hum of the lights, the expression on a person's face across the room, the messy pile of papers on your desk. You think you're tuning it out, but your brain isn't.
It's all being processed. It's priming you.
Exactly. So if you're feeling a little anxious today, or maybe just a bit annoyed for no reason, just take a second. Ask yourself, is this really me? Or is my mood being shaped by something in the ground, something I didn't even consciously notice that my brain decided was important?
That is going to make me very self-conscious about my choice of wallpaper.
Good. Look at your world a little bit differently today, because after all, you're the one building it. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.